Starting off, the very first race we got is the human race, and this is 1 out of 4 races that you can naturally spawn in as, which means you don't actually need to buy or pay for anything. The thing about the base form human race is that it actually has no special ability unlike all the other V1s in the game. It also literally has like no physical changes, so you literally just look like a normal person. But once you upgrade the race to V2 by completing the Alchemist quest and the Colosseum quest, so there's actually 2 quests you need to do. And once you do that, you're gonna get a couple of buffs for your race. The first one is an increase in your movement speed. The second is that your flash tip range gets doubled, and the cooldown is actually lowered to 10 seconds. You also get extra dodge, and your dodge regeneration with your instinct ability is actually a little bit faster. You also dash a little bit further, and your melee speed is actually also increased a little bit. To get to V3 for the human race, you have to go talk to this NPC named Arrow. You basically have to defeat 3 bosses: the Diamond boss, the Jeremy boss, and the Orbitus boss. And once you get this completed, you're gonna unlock the V3, where you get a special ability called Last Resort. And when you activate Last Resort, it basically makes it so that you deal more damage the lower your health is, which can let you do 2.5 to 52% more damage, and this ability lasts for a total of 6 seconds and has a 30-second cooldown. Moving on to the V4, you get this by completing the Temple of Time puzzle and then doing the Trial of Strength, which is pretty similar for most races in the game. Once you unlock the V4, you're gonna get some special abilities. The first one is called Ancient Powers, where if you transform, you basically receive max stats as well as increased damage, speed, and health, and your regeneration is up by 10%. You also get 2 different abilities. The first one is Psycho. You basically just get 3 different flash tips, and if you upgrade this ability, it makes it so that it regenerates faster. It changes it from 15 seconds to like 12 seconds. Then we got the Limit Break ability, where it basically just makes you a lot stronger, and you can see your strength through the rage meter. And in the upgraded version, this ability lasts longer, and you can end up dealing 150% more damage than normal. And for the visual changes, it just looks pretty cool. I mean, just look at this. This is the transformation, and this is what the idle animation looks like. Anyways, moving on to the next race in the game, this is the Rabbit race. Back in the day, this actually used to be called Mink, but they changed it for copyright. And the V1 for this race, it basically just increases your movement speed by 50%. Overall, a pretty good V1 ability as far as V1 abilities go. You actually have a physical change for this as well. You just get a pair of bunny ears on your head. And once you get your race to V2, you're gonna get a few buffs. The first one is an increase in your movement speed, and it also reduces the amount of energy it takes to dash, and this can help a lot if you're pretty low level. Moving on to V3, to unlock this, you have to complete Arrow's quest, which is the same NPC I talked about before, but instead of killing 3 different bosses, this time you have to collect 30 different chests. This is definitely one of the most peaceful ways to get a V3 race, because all you need to do is just server hop and just keep collecting chests. It's incredibly simple, but make sure you grab the quest every time you join the game, because otherwise it's going to reset. And once you upgrade to V3, you're going to get a special ability called Agility, where it basically just increases your movement speed to 4 times your normal movement speed. Also increases your dash length by a good amount. Also decreases the cooldown for dashing, so you can kind of just spam it. It lasts for a total of 6.5 seconds and has a 30-second cooldown. You also get a rabbit's tail, which looks pretty interesting. Moving on to the V4, you get this by completing the Temple of Time puzzle and then doing the Trial of Speed. And once you use your V4 ability, you get the default power that all of the V4 races have, which is Ancient Powers, where you just get max stats and increases your regeneration by 10%. And the 2 special abilities exclusive for the Rabbit race are Whirlwind and Lightning Cloak. For Whirlwind, you basically just leave a tornado around every single time you dash, and if an enemy walks into a tornado, it's gonna trap them. In the upgraded version, the tornadoes just get stronger. Next ability called Lightning Cloak, where your dashes just become much longer. Basically, your dashes just go a lot further. And in the upgraded version, they go even further. And you can do this by holding down the dash button. And this is what it looks like. Pretty cool. Moving on to the next race, this one is called Shark. It actually used to be called Fish, but they changed it to Shark. Anyways, this is also one of the races that you can spawn in as naturally. And in the V1 for this race, it makes it so that you take 90% less damage in water. And keep in mind, this is if you have a Blox fruit equipped. So this race is basically just going to let you take almost 0 damage while you're in water, even with the fruit. You also get a nice fin on your back to show everyone you're a shark, I guess. But once you get your hands on the V2 for this race, it's just going to increase your speed when you're in and out of water. And now you literally take 0 damage from water. It doesn't matter if you have a fruit equipped or not. Moving on to the V3, you have to talk to Ari, and then you need to defeat a naturally spawned sea beast, which definitely makes this one of the most difficult V3 quests. But I'm sure you can get it done if you put your mind to it. And once you get V3, you're going to unlock an ability called Water Body. And when you activate this, you're going to take around 70% less damage from other players. And this lasts for a total of 4.5 seconds and it has a 30-second cooldown. You also get 2 different fins on your arms. Going into the V4 for this race, you get the Ancient Powers and 2 different abilities called Leviathan Armor and Whirlpool. For Leviathan Armor, you basically just get a water shield that regenerates every time you deal damage, which basically is just like an extra health bar. Then we've got the Whirlpool ability, which basically applies a water debuff to your enemies, which makes them slower, and the speed debuffs actually stack for up to 40%. And this is what the transformation looks like. Moving on to the next race, this is the Angel race, and this is the last race that you can actually just spawn in as naturally. The rest of the ones in this video, you're gonna have to get manually. The V1 ability for the Angel race makes it so that your jump height is slightly higher. Also gives you a pair of wings on your back, which look pretty cool. Once you complete the Alchemist quest, you're gonna unlock the V2, and for this it makes your air jumps go slightly higher than normal. You also don't need as much energy to air jump, and you also gain 1 extra air jump. To upgrade to V2, you need to finish Ares quest, and this one is probably the hardest out of every V3 in the game. You basically need to kill another player with the Angel race, which can be pretty hard to find, so it can be pretty difficult to get this one completed. What I recommend you guys doing is basically just getting your friend on an alt account who also has the Angel race and just kill them. That's definitely the fastest way to do this. Once you get to V3, you're gonna unlock a special ability called Heavenly Blood, and when you activate this, it increases your defense by 15%, it heals 14% of your max health, and it lasts for a total of 4.5 seconds with a 30-second cooldown. And your wings also get a lot bigger. I mean, just look at the difference. Moving on to the V4, you get an ability called Prince of the Skies, which basically just lets you fly around. The next ability is called King's Rule, where it just adds an aura around you, which basically just gives slowness, energy drain, screen distortion, and a bunch of damage to anyone that gets hit by it. Basically, just anyone that gets too close to you literally gets affected by your aura, which is pretty cool. And this is what the V4 looks like. Pretty cool if you ask me. You literally have 4 wings, like, you can't get better than that. Moving on to the next race, this is the Ghoul race, and unfortunately, you actually cannot get this naturally. The way you get it is by heading over to the cursed ship in the second sea and getting your hands on 100 ectoplasm. And then you also need to get your hands on a Hellfire Torch. Then you're gonna unlock the V1. And with this, you basically just get a health regeneration boost with this. And it also increases your movement speed by 30%, but only at nighttime. It also gives you these pair of black horns on your head. Once you unlock the V2 by completing the Alchemist quest, then you're gonna get your hands on an ability called Life Leech, where basically every time you hit a player, you're gonna regenerate the damage you dealt by 25%, which is pretty useful. Once you get to V3 by completing Ares quest, you basically just have to kill 5 players without dying. But the thing is, you can also get this in a private server, so you can probably just get your friends on and just get it pretty easily, I guess. Once you do that, you're gonna get an ability called Heightened Senses. It just buffs your overall damage by 5%, your speed by 20%, and your defense by 15%. It also decreases your ability cooldown by 40%, so your abilities just regenerate a lot faster. You can kind of just spam them. The Heightened Senses ability lasts for a total of 8 seconds and has a 30-second cooldown. And for the visual change, it basically just makes your horns a little bit longer. So look at the difference, pretty cool. Moving on to the V4 for this race, you get the ancient powers that all the races have, then you get an ability called Blood Siphon, where you just gain Life Leech, which is just a better version of your V2 ability. It can be up to 48% on players, which is pretty crazy. And the second ability is called Domain Expansion, which literally just looks like Megumi's domain from Jujutsu Kaisen. We just spawn a huge black circle around you, and it basically just slows people down and just decreases their health if they walk into it. And this is what the V4 looks like. Overall, a pretty solid race. Moving on to the second unnatural race. This is the Cyborg race. To get your hands on the Cyborg race, you need to complete the Cyborg puzzle, which is a pretty long puzzle, so lock in. And for the V1 for the Cyborg race, you actually get no buffs, except this pretty cool physical change. Once you get to V2 by completing the Alchemist quest, you get a 10% defense against all melee, sword, and gun attacks. Also, 50% of the damage that you receive passively converts into energy, which is pretty cool and kind of unique as well.
Stop the cap.
To get Cyborg to V3, you need to do Ares quest and basically just give him any physical fruit, and this might be one of the easiest V3 quests. It can literally be a rocket fruit as well. Once you get to V3, you're going to unlock an ability called Energy Core. While you activate this, your defense is basically just up by 30%. You also create a lightning effect around your character, where it just kind of does tick damage depending on your level. So if you're level 2800, then you can literally do like 6000 damage with this passive. And you also get a cool change to your character with this mask. And in the V4 for this race, you get 2 different abilities. The first one is Energy Control, where basically just deal damage to like multiple NPCs at the same time. The effects of this chain damage increase by a good amount. Then we got the Aftershock ability, which basically just gives an electrifying effect that literally just drains your opponent's instinct dodges, which makes it pretty good for PvP. And in the upgraded version, the electrifying effects becomes a lot stronger and lasts a lot longer. And this is what the V4 looks like. Pretty cool. Moving on to the next race, this one is called the Drago race, and this is incredibly unique compared to the other races in the game because the way you get it is literally different compared to like every other race in the game. And the way you get the Drago race is by getting a dragon egg with the dragon wizard after you get an item called the Black Dojo belt. And once you do this, you can basically just switch to this race at any time you want without having to like just randomly roll your races, which makes it pretty convenient. And by the way, the Ghoul race also works like this. You can just switch to it anytime you want. And the V1 abilities for this race actually aren't too crazy. You just get a 5% health boost, a 5% damage reduction, and 5% extra damage with your melee attacks. You also get this cool pair of horns on your head. To upgrade this race to V2, you need to talk to an NPC called the Dragon Wizard. And then you need to get your hands on 5 fire flowers, which are just randomly dropped from NPCs, but they have a really low chance of dropping. But keep in mind, every time you get your hands on the fire flower, you basically just have like a cooldown where you just can't get it from any NPC for the next 5 minutes. Once you collect these 5, you just return to the Dragon Wizard with a total of 1 million belly, and then boom, you just complete the quest. But once you upgrade to V2, you're gonna get a couple of buffs. For the first one, you just gain a minimal dash boost, and you also get a flight ability that lasts a total of 5 seconds. And also your flash step ability also creates explosions that deal damage and burn people over time, which is also pretty interesting. And you also get these pair of wings on your back. To get this race to V3, you have to talk to the Dragon Wizard once again, and then you have to defeat an NPC called the Terror Shark, and keep in mind you have to deal at least 10% damage to it or else it does not count. Once you do that, you just head back to the NPC and give him a total of 3 million belly. And keep in mind you have to complete the Honor Man's Rainbow Savior quest first, before you do any of this. Once you get to V3, you're gonna get an ability called Primordial Rain, and when you activate this, you as well as your teammates actually get some of these buffs, where it just increases your damage by 14%, your movement speed by 15%, it literally debuffs the speed of all enemies next to you by 15%, and you also get an additional pair of horns on your head. And to get to V4 for this race, you don't go through the Temple of Time, but you have to do something special called the Draco Awakening puzzle. Once you get that finished, you're gonna get an ability called Commentic Field and Thorn Mail. For the first one, it just lets you apply explosive orbs in the area to literally anyone next to you, and it also increases the damage that player takes by you and your allies by 15%. And keep in mind, any explosion from this orb also breaks instincts. This can be really useful for PvP. Then we got the Thorn Mail ability, where it just reflects a bunch of damage that you take towards your enemy. It's like the Thorns enchantment in Minecraft, if you guys know what that is. And this is what the race looks like visually, pretty cool, and definitely one of my favorites out of every race in the game. And that's pretty much it.